Good morning, welcome to the Stop the War Assembly today. Thank you so much for coming along. Fantastic event, fantastic turnout, and it's not a memorial for 10 years since the Great March that we organised. It's an event to take stock of what's happened ever since the invasion of Afghanistan, the subsequent war in Iraq and all the others. And it's a way of mobilising forces so that in this country we have a massive movement of people who are opposed to war, opposed to militarism, and look forward to a way in the future in which this country doesn't wage war against the rest of the world, but becomes a force for moral good and peace in the world rather than wars and violence. And in opening, Jeremy Corbyn, by the way, I'm chair of Stop the War Coalition, I should introduce myself. I want to put on record enormous thanks to obviously everyone that's here today, to all those that have been active in the Stop the War Coalition ever since we were founded in this very hall in 2001. Those that work in our office, those that have done such great work. Andrew Murray for his first 10 years as chair, then he handed over to an older person because he felt that's how it should be. And all those that have volunteered to help us today with stewarding and all the other arrangements, because we need a strong and vibrant coalition of peace organisations in the country, and that's what the Stop the War Coalition is. When we met in this hall in 2001, I don't think any of us thought, firstly, that the country would be so stupid as to go to war in Afghanistan, or secondly, that 11.5 years later, we'd still be here opposing yet more wars. It did happen, we are here. Think of all those that died in Afghanistan, the soldiers, the civilians. Think of the poverty that was there and the poverty that is worse. Think of the drone aircraft that are used routinely to strafe and kill people in villages on the borders. Think of the First World waging war against the poorest people in one of the poorest countries on earth. The same thing happened in Iraq. The same thing happened in Libya. The same thing is now happening in North Africa. We are part of a war machine around the world, and the Stop the War Coalition exists to be a political alternative and a political opposite to that. Politics changes because people get on the streets. Politics changes because people mobilise others to make it change. And whilst we didn't stop the invasion of Iraq in 2003, we all know that. Every single one of those nearly 2 million people that were on the streets of London that day was changed by that experience, was moved by that experience, was educated by that experience. And it's that generation that will be the part of the peace movement as long as the peace movement is needed all around the world. So I want to thank all those that attended that mammoth rally that day, biggest ever demonstration in British history. This conference today is about mobilising people, but it's also about examining the causes of war, the injustice, the poverty, the inhumanity that leads to war, the unrequited rights of people such as the Palestinian people, and the greed of the arms companies and the oil companies and the arms industry that is such a motivator for war, and also reflect on the damage it's done to us, the way in which our civil liberties have been trampled on by war, the way in which the civil liberties of the ordinary people of the United States and other countries have been trampled on by the thirst for war. We have much to discuss and much to consider today, and think very carefully about the anodyne words of David Cameron that our forces are only in Mali for good. They're only in Mali to help people out. They're only there as advisors. In fact, somebody told me they were all botanists that were checking out what's going on there. I believe a whole new front has been opened up in this war, and it's going to go on for a very long time unless we are able to mobilise people to stop it. That's enough from me. I want to thank you all for coming today, and now I'm going to ask each of our wonderful speakers to open up this session. This session will run until